I was making fun of Warhammer on the way to work. I just got out of the shower, got ready, and I was thinking to myself and saying all sorts of funny things about the Horus Heresy and about Warhammer 40,000. Now, because I was doing this, I was thinking I might as well record it because it's kind of interesting.
So, here we go. It seems that whenever we talk about Warhammer, if we talk about it in a British voice, it's a lot more appreciated. So let's begin our deep dive. Today, about the Dark Angels. Sometime in the distant future, tens of thousands of years, maybe 20, 30,000 in the future, a being as the Emperor of mankind, a godlike being who is an immortal, who has been walking amongst people and controlling what they do, finally decides to out himself, and he does so to unify humanity across the stars. Well, how can he do this, you must say? Only through war. So he decides to create super soldiers and force everybody to follow him. The first super soldiers, or at least the ones they talk about in the Unification Wars, are called Thunder Warriors. But those guys had temperamental issues, because when you give super soldiers steroids, they have super rage. So he uses the Thunder Warriors, gets his way and all that, and then feels rather bad about it because they're a bunch of losers. And he says, I need better followers. I need people who can last longer and who won't go into roid rage all the time. So he creates another set of super soldiers. He calls these the Custodes, because they're kind of like his personal janitors. They keep everything clean and they protect him. But the Custodes apparently are not good enough to fight wars. He can't make that many of them. I don't know why. You just go with it. He's able to make all these other things, gene crafting, but he can't do a bunch of them. And they're super duper duper, but he can't have everything super duper duper. Where were we? You can't have everything super duper duper because that would create super duper problems. So he needs to be able to kill, I guess, or control these other elements better. Better soldiers that are they're disposable, but not as disposable as Thunder Warriors. Hence, we have the birth of the Adeptus Astartes, which are the Space Marines, genetically engineered superhumans that in video games are apparently no more powerful than a guardsman, a normal human. So, after he makes these people, the first of them he makes are called the Dark Angels. That's who we'll be exploring today. As the book says, Dark Angels, sons of the Lion. The Lion is the appointed demigod father called the Primarch, who's in charge of the Dark Angels. He's kind of like King Arthur meets a spy movie. King Arthur meets, I'm trying to remember his name, Jason Bourne. King Arthur meets Jason Bourne / Sean Connery. And so he has these secretive guys that are fighting like knights. A little bit of like a split personality, but we'll go with it. These guys look really fearsome by wearing robes and dressing up like Doctor Doom. They make secrets, and they don't like to share them. They're from a planet called Caliban that got blown up. This is them killing things. Yeah, they're killing things. So anyway, they're the First Legion, and people make the mistake of thinking the First Legion is the best because it's number one. But is a VCR better than a DVD player? A Blu-ray? Is that the way this works? Does a horse and carriage trump a race car? Yeah, there's a little bit of flawed logic here. But there is that sort of hero worship of the past in Warhammer 40,000, 30,000, 20,000, whatever thousand the Emperor's doing things and making super soldiers 1,000. Yeah, it's somehow better in the past. And the first guy, he didn't make any improvements through the last 20. Okay, we'll go ahead and roll with it. Apparently, though, he's really good at dueling, and they want to give him the ultimate weapons of death, things that are forbidden to everyone else. The Lion shows that he can be a good steward of this by giving those weapons away. Yeah. The Lion story is also a little bit weird because there's a civil war called the Horus Heresy, and the Lion had a mentor, like father figure, named Luther. But Luther, he couldn't upgrade him all the way. He's too old and too crotchety, so they kind of like made him kind of a Astartes. He's kind of a super soldier, just like maybe sort of not really. And he kind of gets left behind because of that, because they're like, yeah, you can be the spiritual morale of the Legion, but we don't want to fight next to you because you suck, and I don't want to die because you're not as good as we are. Kind of. And so they leave these guys back on the home planet, and then Luther's like, oh no, I have been betrayed. They don't think that I am good enough. So Luther kind of loses his mind and decides, right, that's why I need demons. That's why I chose demons. Because I was left behind on the field trip day, and it broke my feelings. So he chooses demons, and the lion goes back, and he's like, what the hell? I don't talk about things, and everything's a secret, but bloody hell, how is this happening? And he confronts Luther, and then shockingly, this guy who has no superpowers, who is like a step below superhuman space soldier called Astartes, and definitely like miles, like the pit, like below what a demigod Primarch would be, like the lion, and they have a fight. Luther versus Lionel Johnson, the Lion, Primarch of the 1st Legion, the Dark Angels. And the normal guy proceeds to kick the butt of the demigod. I don't think he was that good to begin with, to be honest. I mean, like, he's a little bit more hype than yeah. I mean, this is a normal dude kicked his butt, and yeah, you're not as good as the other ones, I'm sorry. The VCR is not as good as the Blu-ray player. So the lion kind of like, I don't know, he falls asleep. He like, there's an explosion of oh no. It's kind of weird right here. I mean, because is Luther beaten, or does he get caught, or what happens? But Luther gets caught, and the lion decides that I need to play Sleeping Beauty for 10, I don't know, 15, I don't know, thousands of years, and then I'll wake from my slumber when I get a kiss from these little, I don't know, hooded midgets called Watchers in the Dark. Then he awakes later, and he's like, I'm old, but I am still superpowered. And then he actually does some superpowered stuff that he's never done before, and he's like super duper. And then he's like, but I shall go nowhere. I shall create force in my mind and teleport myself to random places and do random things. And thus we have where the lion is today in 40,000. He's like a fart that materializes in random unexpected places, so the lion can come out of the fart of the forest and do random things that we are not worthy to know about. But he's doing them, and he's doing them for the Emperor. And for the sake of buying more product from England, more plastic miniatures. So if you take anything from this video, please remember that your miniatures that you paid for today are no longer good. What you need to do is tithe on a daily basis to the company. Only then will you be a true loyal servant of the Emperor. And the first things made are not the best. It's always the newest that's the best. Unless, of course, you're the Lion and the Dark Angels, in which case you, like your namesake, lie to yourself and say you are the best when you are not. Thank you. This has been Warhammer Time with me.